Jared had a mind that never slept. Even in silence, it screamed. Even in joy, it whispered doubts. And when things were calm, that's when the noise got loudest. He was smart, kind, and curious, but also haunted. Haunted by a loop of thoughts that always started the same way. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I'm just not enough? He wasn't alone in a dark room. He was alone inside his mind. He tried everything. Affirmations, podcasts, journaling. None of them stuck. Because deep down, Jared didn't want to cover the noise. He wanted to understand it, to tame it, to be free. But that journey didn't begin in a therapist's office. It started one evening on an old train platform, with a stranger. The station was nearly empty, just flickering lights, the hum of old wires, and Jared, pacing. His train was late. His thoughts were early. That's when the man appeared. Worn coat, kind eyes, like someone out of place, yet perfectly still. "You're thinking too loud," he said, without turning. Jared blinked. "Excuse me?" The man tapped the bench beside him. "Sit, before your thoughts eat you alive." Something about his tone didn't feel intrusive. It felt like relief. Jared sat. Silence. Then the man said, "Ever heard of the Mind Fox?" Jared frowned. "Is that a book?" The man smiled faintly. "It's a creature that hides in your head. Small, quick. It feeds on fears and grows when ignored. Most people mistake it for their own voice." Jared shivered. "Want to know how to catch it?" he said. Jared nodded slowly. "All right, how do I catch it?" The man leaned back, eyes scanning the flickering ceiling light. "Years ago," he began, "a young monk lived in a monastery carved into the mountains. He was brilliant, but tortured by thoughts, doubts, regrets, self-criticism. He couldn't sleep, couldn't meditate, couldn't find peace. One morning, his master handed him a small wooden bell. "Ring this," he said, "every time your mind turns against you." At first, he rang it hundreds of times a day. During prayer, while sweeping, even while eating, the bell echoed constantly. But something happened. Over time, he rang it less, not because the thoughts stopped, but because he began to recognize them as visitors, not truths. Each ring became a reminder, "I am not my thoughts." Jared was silent. The man leaned in and said quietly, "You're not weak for having negative thoughts. You're human. But if this story, if this idea is ringing something inside you, if you feel like it's time to stop letting your thoughts run the show, then subscribe to this channel. These aren't just animations. They're signals, tools, warnings for minds like yours, like mine. Maybe you're not here by accident." Jared returned home that evening, with the old man's words echoing in his mind. "I am not my thoughts." He repeated it like a mantra. But almost immediately, the noise returned. While brushing his teeth, "You're wasting your life." While closing his laptop, "You'll never finish anything." While lying in bed, "Everyone's moving forward. You're stuck." He grabbed a pen and notebook and wrote a single word at the top of the page: "Bell." Every time a thought tried to pull him under, he'd mark a line next to it. Just one line. He didn't fight the thought. He didn't argue with it. He just acknowledged it and moved on. Within 3 days, the page was full of lines. But something strange was happening. The more he observed his thoughts, the less control they had. They became like distant radio static, still there, but not demanding attention. It wasn't easy. Some days, the thoughts were brutal. But now, Jared had a bell, a signal, a pattern interrupt. A week later, Jared met the old man again, this time by the lake. The man was tossing breadcrumbs to birds, smiling like someone who'd seen both war and peace. "I've been practicing," Jared said, noticing the thoughts, not fighting, just letting them pass. The man nodded. "That's a good start, but noticing isn't the end." Jared frowned. "Then what is?" The old man pointed to the lake. "See that?" Jared followed his gaze. The surface was calm, still, but beneath it, fish darted in every direction. "Most people try to calm the fish," the old man said, "but they forget it's the surface that reflects the sky." He dropped another breadcrumb into the water. Stillness above, movement below. That's the mind. That night, Jared walked alone by the lake. No music, no phone, just the rhythm of his breath and the bell in his mind. And when a thought came, "You're not doing enough," he didn't argue. He didn't resist. He simply said in his mind, "Thanks for your input," and kept walking. He was no longer trying to be thoughtless. He was learning to be thought-free. Not empty, aware. Not silent, sovereign. The bell was inside him now. Not a sound, but a knowing. A soft place he could return to. And in that place, Jared discovered something he never expected. Peace wasn't the absence of thoughts. It was the presence of clarity. Weeks later, Jared sat again on that old train platform. This time, he wasn't waiting for a train. He was waiting for nothing. And in that nothingness, he felt whole. The old man appeared once more. "No more thoughts?" he asked. Jared smiled. "Still plenty, but I no longer believe every one of them." The old man chuckled. "Then you're free." And with a nod, he walked away. "Now let me ask you something. What's one thought that's been haunting your mind lately? And what would change if you stopped believing it? Tell me in the comments. Maybe someone else needs to hear it too.